Let me say a special good evening to Minister in the Ministry of Housing, Senator the Honorable Anil Roberts. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mikey, and good evening to everyone listening and viewing on Dial the Channel and on social media. Good evening.
Good evening. It's been quite a week for you. You have been quite active. First of all, I want to start off by asking, before we get into the heart of this, what do you say to folks who would weigh in and say, listen, you're a minister now, you're a senator. Why do you feel it necessary to still talk out and defend the government that you are part of?
Well, let's be clear. Whether I'm a senator, a minister, or anything, I will not allow the lies of the PNM to destabilize, create chaos, or destroy my country. We allowed that once before in 2010 to 2015. The PNM as a machinery is a disgusting, dishonest type of DNA. They lie with impunity. They care not about the truth, and they continue to lie and hope that it sticks in the minds of the citizens. I saw it happen in 2010 to 2015. The best performing government in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, but the media controlled by the PNM, the fake news media printed lie after lie, and it soaked in to the tapestry of our politics. It soaked into the souls and the spirits and the mind share of the people. So I know that the truth has to prevail. Thank God for social media. Thank God for the truth. Thank God for the shows like The Observer, where you can just sit down and talk the truth. You see, people will not understand. I love politics. I love competition. I've lived my life in sport, and I fight fairly. Not one day would I ever fabricate or concoct or lie on Keith Christopher Rowley or Stuart Smallpin Young or any of the PNM. But this PNM, they have no problem with just lying with a straight face, whether it's Coleman Butt, Keith Rowley, Stuart Young, Faris Al-Rawi, a man who's under investigation so much the police tired, but they just have this ability. When you go into Balize House, they extricate your conscience and your shame, and they must never return to power. The PNM has decimated this country for over 60 years. It's the most corrupt organization in history, and the media, the mass media, the fake news media, the Express newspaper, Guardian Media Limited, OCM Limited, 13 radio station, the Newsday, they print and promote the most insane dishonesty that keeps the PNM alive. So I will ensure that we keep the PNM where they deserve to be, which is in opposition, and then by 2030, even out of opposition and out of the politics, because they have decimated our country enough.
Now, time and time again, we hear when people make comments about, well, one political side would have done this, so it justifies why the other should do that and what have you. Why did you feel it necessary to bring this story about this Vincent Prime Minister to the forefront into the public domain?
Because the old boys club and the blight and the poison that is the PNM has not only poisoned every independent institution in Trinidad and Tobago, it has gone up the islands, and even CARICOM has been poisoned with the Balize juice, with the PNM. When you listen to Roosevelt Skerrit, the Prime Minister of Dominica, coming to Trinidad and Tobago in August of 2023 in the heat of an election local government, and telling our citizens that Keith Rowley is a nice guy and he's nicer than we know. We didn't ask you that. It's inappropriate for you to get involved in our elections. When he was asked by a member of the media in Trinidad and Tobago about the Brent Thomas kidnapping, he said it was UNC opposition mischief. Then we have Mia Amor-Motley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, failing to tell us simply who contacted her government to ask for permission for a CARICOM jet carrying Trinidad and Tobago police officers to land on her sovereign tarmac in her sovereign nation and in her airport to disembark and to go to a hotel and kidnap Brent Thomas without paperwork, without extradition, without natural justice, without charges. Mia Motley's government, and who Rowley went to see her immediately. Why does she tell us what Rowley told her? What deal they made? Why is she not just telling us the truth? We want to know which minister of the PNM asked her government for permission. It's a simple question, the simple answer, but she refuses to answer because the Balizé juice infects CARICOM. And then there's Ralph Gonsalves. Our Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar told you, told people, told the population that she will do everything in her power to keep us safe, to get the crime rate down. She's bringing stand your ground legislation. She's putting police in schools to stop school violence. She's increasing the equipment, the effectiveness of the police. She dissected the ministry to make it more efficient with 2 ministers. She's giving the police and the DPP the resources that are necessary. And she's supporting the USA in the fight against narco-terrorism, drug runners, human traffickers, cocaine traffickers, and narco traffickers. Because Trinidad and Tobago, we don't manufacture guns, we don't manufacture bullets, but every little bad boy who fell through the cracks in school and so on, has the ability and access to a gun. Kamala Persad-Bissessar says that the blood must stop flowing in our streets and the narco-terrorists have to be stopped. So she supports the USA in their fight against the drug cartels. Then here comes the Prime Minister of St. Vincent, attacking our beloved Prime Minister in a vile, ridiculous, inappropriate, undiplomatic manner, saying that she's misguided, she is brighter than he can ever be, that she is causing, encouraging war and all sorts of nonsense, that she is not statesmanlike or stateswomanlike. He is fast and out of place. And then when I realized that he was saying this with a kind of passion, I always thought and knew that he loved this PNM because he was friends with Patrick Manning. When you go to the airport in St. Vincent, there are 3 pictures in the main lobby. There's one of Hugo Chavez, there's one of Fidel Castro, and there's one of Patrick Manning. But that's his friendship is all right. But don't jump and attack and get involved in our domestic politics and disrespect our beloved Prime Minister. You're fast and out of place. So that's where it came. And when you see the connection and the passion he defends the PNM with, you know that it is because he's received so many millions, so much value in houses from the HDC, from the PNM, jumping the queue over citizens, talking about his wife is a citizen, his wife is a citizen, great, nobody ever said no. We are talking about preference, about nepotism, about the ability to get things unfairly. How 3 out of 3 you so successful when people are waiting, saving, waiting and praying for the opportunity to buy a house from the HDC. And then his daughter, who's just a student, gets the opportunity to live in a gated community in a pristine, expensive area by paying $2,700 for 10 years for a place that is valued at 1.3, but the real value is $2.1 million. And for 10 years, she does not have to face the interest of a mortgage as normal citizens would have to. She gets the value to increase, and in 2030, she will pay a paltry $1.2 million and get something worth $3 million. That is not on. That is nepotism. That is corruption. That is preferential treatment. And that's what we stand against in the UNC under Kamala Persad-Bissessar.
And you know, Senator, when you speak about the fact of, legacy media and the role, I think a lot of people may not be able to understand just how vicious and how much, how savage that they would go and place these attacks. I mean, here it is, you have one of the mainstream media outlets saying that the PNM is somehow mum on anything dealing with the Integrity Commission to probe whatever it is you said. But it seems as though they've taken it up to pursue it all the way to the Integrity Commission.
Well, they could pursue it where they want to go. Understand this and understand this clearly. If you want privacy, if you want to remain private, well, stay just so. You have to understand the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bissessa. She told anyone and everyone from lawyers, doctors, contractors, anybody who would like to take part and be paid with taxpayers' money. Do you understand? Taxpayers' money, not Kerr money, not my money, not Mikee money, not Gael money, the money that belongs to the people. There will be no privacy. There is no such thing as private in public affairs. It's taxpayers' money. So this nonsense they're talking about. Furthermore, information I could get from anywhere. My mailbox, things drop off. People message me just like they message you. They call, they do anything. And a lot of information comes. But we have an opportunity to change the politics of Trinidad and Tobago, to bring fairness and equity. Do you know how many people, Lord have mercy, Mikee, mothers, single mothers, the families, begging me because I'm a minister in the Ministry of Housing. I said, please don't beg, human being, don't beg. There's no begging this process. But people are so desperate. They've been waiting so long. They would like a place to call home, to feel secure, to take care of their children, for their children to sit down and study on a table under a light. And you have this friend of Rowley, this vagabond of a prime minister who attacks my prime minister, benefiting three houses, 2 purchase, and then the PNM ball open market. There is no such thing as open market with lease to own. Furthermore, they have millionaires and hundreds of millionaires. One of the bank accounts they had there, the wife had 418,000 US just sitting down. But yet Ralph Gonzalez has not paid the people of Trinidad and Tobago their 1.3 million. Mikee K, tell Ralph Gonzalez to pay the 1.3 million so that HDC under Minister David Lee and with Feroz can build 3 low-income houses at 400,000 each for people, for families, for children to come and get from the HDC. He's a big rich prime minister. His family have all kind of real estate property. His son have speedboat, big boat, mansion in Miami, big 39 condominiums in St. Vincent, but he cannot pay the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago $1.3 million that he called monopoly money. He is fast and out of place and disrespectful. And the Express saying that I am vulgar for bringing up this. They have to be mad. But you see, once you support PNM, you can't be stable. Everything, you can't be in control of your faculties. You have to either be corrupt or sick.
Minister, give us an idea. I mean, we hear the horror stories. We also hear the stories of people who've been waiting for years. One lady said over 30-something years for a home. You know, give us an idea and insight. Because, I mean, listening to what you're saying, and for the entire week, many people have been weighing in and saying, you know, listen, I can't see how it is that people can come from nowhere and just get access to prime real estate for pennies on the dollar, while many of us have been waiting for years. Mommy waiting, auntie waiting, granny waiting. Sometimes an entire generation have been waiting for some place to call their own. Give us an idea. I mean, being a part, of course, the Ministry of Housing, having an insight just how challenging it is when you have more applicants than units to give out.
Well, let me tell you. In 2010, when I became an MP, a lady came to me in 2011, and she showed me her HDC, which was then NHA, reference number and application, that she had gotten in 1977. The signature on her application was Hazel Manning when she was a Clerk 1 in the Ministry of Housing. And that she ended up getting a house from Dr. Rudal Munilal and Geraldine John in 2013. That's how long it was. Now, Dr. Munilal, the UNC, Kamala Prasad Bissessa, were building approximately 5,000 houses per year and handing out keys, finishing it off. In came Keith Rowley on a bag of lies of Emailgate and obfuscation from the PNM mass news fake media. And in 9.5 years, $3.8 billion, the PNM only managed to build 4,775 houses. And the number of applicants went up from 154,000 in 2015 to 214,000 as of April 30th, 2025. 214,000 people, families waiting for the opportunity to own their home. People are renting and crying and saying, Minister, I work for $7,000. My rent is $4,000. I only have $3,000 to feed my 2 children. My husband is trying not to eat. That is the normal story. Yet you have a prime minister who has everything, who's wealthy, who's 100 millionaire, who laughs at our money and calls it monopoly money. And he, because of his relationship with the PNM, gets a rent-to-own unit, does not have the wherewithal or the character to pay for the unit, and he gets it and skips the line over all these people who have their savings, who are ready to go, but who just can't take that 9% of a mortgage of the banks. They just need a little assistance to live comfortably. And the PNM does not care, because the PNM is about the rich getting richer. And in this case, Ralph Gonzalez, with his Trini wife and his dual citizenship children who are multimillionaires, they got the pleasure of Rowley and the PNM. And that is the issue. And that is disgusting. And that is nepotism. And that is against the Constitution. That is wrong. And Ralph Gonzalez had to pay money so we could take that taxpayer money and build houses for the people.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I mean, and again, giving an insight of where you are as a minister in the Ministry of Housing. But how do you feel when you hear people making such statements as you may be working with the New Democratic Party, the NDP, in St. Vincent, the opposition, as of course their elections are scheduled for later this month on the 25th. And people are saying that, you know, all of this is just political mischief because of the upcoming general election.
Well, number one, I didn't know it had any general election in St. Vincent. Number two, I don't get involved in that. Number three, over 8 different times, radio stations have called me in the last week to do live interviews, and I said absolutely not, because I did not know or did not intend to involve myself in any election. Really, that is for Vincentians and people who live in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I was dealing with an issue here in my domestic politics in Trinidad and Tobago, where the Prime Minister of St. Vincent decided on his own volition to jump up and attack my Prime Minister who won by a landslide on April 28th. He jumped in, he drew first blood, and I responded. So me, I know about he election and what going on with he. I couldn't care less. I just telling Ralph Gonzalez, leave my Prime Minister alone, stay and love up your Rowley, and pay we $1.3 million so we can build 3 houses for poor people to hang out.
And I think he gets the message loud and clear. And I think you're making it also clear that you have no intentions of staying quiet when it is that our beloved Prime Minister is being attacked left, right, and center. I mean, to the point.
Something.
Go ahead.
She's too loving and too nice, and she allowed these miscreants, these dishonest, pathological PNM liars between 2010 and 2015 to lie on her ministers, to lie on her government. Remember when they even put a headline in The Guardian, and The Guardian media has lost over $14.6 million in 9 months. Yeah. OCM has lost millions of dollars, and saying that they made a little profit in real estate. That's because the population has realized that these media, these newspapers, this TV6, this CNC3 are all PNM propagandists and propaganda machines, and people are switching off and will continue to switch off because they are nasty, they are disgusting, and they promote the incompetence, the corruption, and the wickedness of the PNM. Do you recall? I'll give you one out of, I can give you about 100 examples, but I don't have time. But one of the worst ones was when the front page of The Guardian back in 2012 or so said Government loses 1.2 billion arbitration in OPV matter. You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what the truth was? Anand Ram Logan won back with money. Anand Ram Logan won back $1.2 billion back for the people of Trinidad and Tobago because BAE systems, their vessel was not functioning. The laser targeting shooting, which is the most important thing as you're seeing now, when the US target a boat moving at 80, 90, 100 miles per hour, it hits it direct and you're seeing it blowing up. Well, that was the main thing that was our warships, the OPVs were supposed to do. Blow up gun runners, drug cartel boats at high speed. The laser targeting system was not working. Anand Ram Logan won back our money because BAE had a defective vessel. The Guardian media and the PNM media, I sure it still have people right now who's trying to say them PNM people who just lie. Oh, they shut down the OPVs and we lost with money. That is not true. We won back $1.2 billion because the vessels were faulty. That's the truth. They never print a retraction. They never corrected the record. They are disgusting. They are dishonest. And I call upon the population to reject Guardian Media Limited, reject Guardian, reject CNC3, reject The Express, reject TV6, reject the Newsday, and reject the 13 PNM radio stations. PNM has controlled this country and put all of the miscreants in different areas as independent this and independent that. They are not independent. The one independent office holder who stood up is now like a hero to us all. The Auditor General. We didn't know it was a Ima woman. We didn't know who she was. But she stood up to the lies and the abuse of Coleman Buck and saved this country. She is a hero. But that's what we need. Independent-minded people to just do their jobs. Stop with the PNM lies. Stop with the propaganda. The PNM is a disease and must remain where they are and go even further down.
Closing comments, go right ahead.
Fire burn the PNM. God bless.
Thank you. Have a good one.